Alrighty. Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon to all of you. We welcome you today. Valerii and I will be your hosts. Our role is to guide you through the process of incorporating data from third-party systems into your content fragment. During our session today, we will dive into the ways you can harness the potential of UI extensions to import data from various sources into your EAM instance. But before we begin, a few important reminders. First of all, if you have any question related to the presentation content, please feel free to type them in the chat and we will answer them at the end of the session. And also, folks, we are eager to learn more about our audience today. So please don't hesitate to introduce yourself by sharing your name and role in the chat. And we are excited to have all of you with us. So a little bit history here. So remember when we talked about UI extensibility on the Adobe Developers live stage? It was about a year ago. Well, over the past year, we've been working hard to create new extension points that cater to our customers' needs and allow them to customize things in a sustainable way. So what can we expect from our time together in the next 30 minutes? Well, we are here, first of all, to have fun and chat about the everyday challenges our customers face when they're in the creative zone. We're all about making their lives easier by providing the right tools. You join us on a journey to learn how to whip up some cool integration for AM authoring services without having to mess with AM code. By the end of the presentation, you'll be equipped with a know how to start cooking up your very first app or even a fresh twist on existing one and or bring some extra flavor to your customer experience. Are there any AM practitioners in the house? If you are the one, you're likely eager to discover ways to save time and reduce repetitive content entry tasks. You might also be interested in ensuring the accuracy of the data on your website. And hey, developers, we don't forget about you. It's like the event for you, to be honest. So do you have any wild and vague ideas or recent requests bouncing around in your head? Share them in the chat and we'll team up to explore how UI extensibility can swoop in like a superhero and solve a customer needs. So let's now paint some vivid picture. You're an author and you're trying to create a blog post or put some product details or shop details. And what you need to do now, you need to manually copy and paste address from Google or from your like internal document into your content. As a human being, you know that it might be really annoying and are likely to have some error when you're doing this like repetitive task. But as a developer, we can guarantee the 100 accuracy by using Adobe Framework to fetch data directly from the Google Places API. This ensures that the address and data are correct. So today we are going to guide and show you how to bring the Google Places API to AEM. But to be honest, it's not there. You can bring almost all API to IAM, even something was developed by you, developed like internally on your or you use for your specific company. So, by the way, what was the last integration you was working on to bring to the AEM? Don't hesitate to share in the chat. Just in a second, let's see how we can make transformation of altering experience with UI extensibility. As you can see, like this is current picture. You need to put some address. We, for example, want to show that we're working with Adobe, so we'll put some address in the content fragment. But you was disturbed with someone, so someone asked some question, you miss a number, you even maybe like made some typo, you didn't notice. You need to add some additional details. You forget the zip code. You need to switch between different pages, go back and forth to finally put all required content. And as you see, some mistakes might be missed and it might be found like later. But with a cool extension built by your developers, you can extremely change this experience to the author. So instead of put all this information manually, they just need to know what exactly they want to add. So let's imagine it's Adobe Office here in Austin, and voila, you have everything put automatically. It's like the magic happens. So let's look how we get there. Maybe we need to refresh our memory a little bit, or learn something new, who knows. So what is about the exciting work of the extensibility? And let's talk about its key ingredients. So first of all, UI extension is like a small little apps that you can sprinkle into the Adobe Experience Cloud. Let's imagine like a seasoning for a favorite dish. Think of them as a complete toolkit that Adobe serves up to you. This toolkit is loaded with the latest and greatest latest in JavaScript and React, making it as modern as a favorite tech gadget. Now, why we are using UI extension and why it's so cool? So, from my perspective, they give us like a superpower to customize Experience Cloud user interface. So you can jazz it up with a new feature like editing goes to ice cream. The result, the team became more productive and your workflow gets more smoother than before. I believe many of you are well acquainted with the traditional methods of customizing AEM using Java code, but you need to deploy and update your code often with every new release. Does it sound familiar? This approach is commonly referred as an in-process extensibility. But now, with UI extension, we offer a fresh perspective by introducing out-of-process extensibility. This new approach comes with some fantastic benefits. So it's like a breath of fresh air because it's some robust and doesn't crumble with each new release. So I believe it's something what like pains for everyone when we need to rework our customization like constantly. And I believe like with Java extension, it might be the answer to a customer request how to empower them to craft customized experience and develop out-of-box application. You can supercharge your AEM authoring workflow. So it's kind of like a game changer. So let's look on the next slide. We are going to dive in the latest AEM authoring features and their extensibility patterns. While you might have some familiarity with existing extension points, we'll revisit them to see how they evolve over time. Our focus will be on three essential tools for working with content: the content fragment console, the content fragment editor, and the universal editor. First up, the content fragment console console um, serves you as a truly companion for creating, managing, and publishing reusable content fragments. Next, the content fragment editor provides you with the creative space to craft and fine-tune content fragment incorporating various media types. So the majority is like it makes it a breeze of fashion reusable fragments that seamlessly fit into multiple channels. And if you visited the previous session, the last but not least, it's the extensibility for universal editor, which, like as you've seen before, it allows a new level for you to work in context, add experience, and its design. What even more exciting is that universal editor isn't considered for a specific source. It can edit content basically from everywhere. So let's jump to the fun part and talk about the extension point. Let's look on them in depth. Alrighty, so the important highlight before we will put in uh, the details that our main effort is to maintain consistency in the extension point and interfaces across extensible services. That gives you a sneak peek into the direction we are committed to. So let's look at them. The first extension point I want to highlight is the action bar. Action bar is an area above the content fragments list in the content fragment console that displays action items that can be executed on selected content fragments. This action may include editing, deleting, exploring, cloning, or publishing content fragment. And the action bar appears over the header menu when one or multiple content fragments are selected. Action bar can be customized via methods defined in the action bar namespace. You have the ability to create multiple buttons from the single extension, implement drop-down menu buttons, or even like use icons from React Spectrum. So let's look onto the next extension point. Um, and it stands for the content fragment grid, which is located below the header menu at the action bar and display a list of all content fragments. By utilizing this extension point, you can add custom grid columns, make them sortable, and even apply some custom rendering. The next one is the header menu. This is area above the content fragment list in the content fragment console that displays action items unrelated to any particular content fragment. And it includes buttons or links for common actions such as creating new content fragment, importing content fragment, and performing other operations. They're not tied up to a specific content fragment. Header menu can be customized via methods defined in the header menu namespace, and it includes like creating multiple buttons from the single extension or implement drop-down menu. That's fine. Formula, yeah, as I said, we're trying to keep consistency. So it's the same what we are already seeing in the action bar menu. And also you can use a different variation of buttons from the rack spectrum and add some icons from the rack spectrum as well. Also, I want to mention a couple more extension points. It was like a little bit struggle to find a good visualization for. So first of all, it's a navigation, which like describes some basic methods for navigating within extension. The next one is like the model dialogues, which describes the basic methods for using model dialogues within extension. And also from the extension, you have an access for AEM code instance. So the list of the API for showing like model dialogues with custom UI defined by extension. And these model dialogues can be triggered by a click on the buttons or other events. And also some small addition to the technical details. That content of the models is rendered in iframe with source defined by extension. And before showing model, you should create a page which renders model UI. So I think there is a good summary about extension points for content fragment console. So let's jump to rich text editor. And as you can see, similar to content fragment console, you have extension points in the header menu, which allow you to customize actions in rich text editor header menu. Also, you can edit custom buttons to rich text editor toolbar. And the last but not least, it's adding customizing actions and non-editable styles inside rich text editor. And at the end of the summary about extension point, I wanna add that we are doing step to include UI extensibility concept to the universal editor as well. And we are starting from the header menu, and you'll be able to add your custom buttons to the header menu of the universal editor soon. Right now, I think it's over with some theory and presentation. Let's look in the fun part. It is Valerii, and let's see how we can build the extension shown in the beginning of the presentation, like Google Play API. So word to you, Valerii.
Thank you, Iryna. So let's look at the above, including some implementation details. Uh, as we know, we need to integrate Google Play with service into the content fragment editor. We don't have access to original code base and cannot change it. So we will utilize the UI extensibility. Next slide, please. And how we can achieve it? We need to create an extension which will enhance the basic functionality using the extension points provided by an instance. For the extension, we will use a builder which integrates with various Adobe products. It also has capability to generate a significant part of the code we need, of course, minimizing our work. As you see on the slide, within our extension, we will use two extension points. First extension point is field customization to replace the original address field with a one that supports Google Places. The second extension point is Canvas Data API to insert data from Google into our form. So you see that logic is simple. We read data from Google and we put this data into our form. And on next slide, let's see the usual Builder extension development flow. At the beginning, we can utilize iOS CLI tool. In the interactive mode through the console, you can generate base structure. You can specify which functionality we want to enhance. As a result, the main part of code will be generated. The next step is implementation. We need to incorporate our own logic for handling specific events. In our case, we need to involve using the extension point provided by and interacting with Google Places. After implementation is complete, we perform local testing. If everything is working as expected, our application is deployed to the staging environment for further verification. Once confirmed, we can deploy it to production. And finally, we submit request for approval of our extension. This submit should be confirmed by IAM organization administrator. And after this confirmation, after this approving, this functionality will become available for all of users within this organization. And I would like to dive a bit more in the three first steps related to implementation. That's why I prepared a few videos to demonstrate how easy it is. So we will start with empty folder. And as I mentioned, we will utilize iOS CLI. We initialize our application. We need to specify our organization, and choose our builder extension that I created earlier. And after that, the process is started, and this is important step, as I mentioned. We need to specify our name of the extension, some description, and version, if we would like to support in the future, some metadata. On the next step, we need to choose which functionality we want to expand. In our case, we just want to change to add custom rendering of the field. But of course, as it was mentioned earlier, you can add some additional functionality in scope of the same extension. You can add something for each text editor or add some functionality to header menu. Once we finish it, click I'm done, and generation process is. And as a result, you will see that base structure is generated. Most of files that we need were generated, and we're ready to adding our own logic. And on the next tab, we're ready for the next slide. And next, our steps looks like it's the same video. Yeah, just switch. So as I mentioned, now we are ready for implementation. Again, implementation is very easy. We just need to add some code snippet that will be make request to the Google and put in our form. So we have some generated file. It's the handler of this custom fields. And I just add some simple without custom logic, some snippet that may call to the Google Maps. Once we retrieve this data, we will utilize the next API, data API, and put the value in our form. Actually, that's all. Two simple steps. I skipped some things like fixing code styles or registration on Google services, but actually, you don't need to do anything else. And we are ready to check how it's work locally. It will be inside of next video. For run locally, again, we will use iOS tool. We just run our application locally. And you see that we have URL. We can copy this URL and put, you see that we don't have some customization, but if we'll put in the URL, we have X parameter for testing of local extension. So I put it in the URL, reload page, and you see that everything is run it locally, and now it's work. If we need to add some custom logic, we can do it on the fly. We don't need to redeploy something. A simple example, I just add some additional information to the postcode field. I updated my code on the fly, reload the page, again, choose some address, and you see that my changes applied on the fly and you don't need to do something else. Actually, that's all. The next steps are publishing, are deploying on production and publishing, but it's out of scope of this presentation. Uh, have documentation, we have a lot of guides that cover all of the steps with some images, with some descriptions, and you can find this on this slide. You have separate your extensibility documentation, and also you can find some additional information related to Adobe App Builder. I think that's all from my side. I am giving uh, the word back to Iryna.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Valerii. It was like amazing how we can see, like, I believe it was in 8 minutes, we can see how to build a new application, which can extremely change the way how authors can work with their content. And it was mentioned that all of this is possible by bringing ad builder capabilities to IAM sites cloud services. And the good news for all our new and existing customers that you entitled to have one free unit of ad builders. So just after this event, your developer can start building some UI extension which will serve your customers. You get information about what included in this one unit to better understand what's going to be possible. But just in case, if you don't see access to our builder in your organization and your existing customers, please contact your your sales representative to enable this awesome feature um, to your cloud instance. And also, folks, it's like take a village to build a good developer experience. So let's stay connected. Please save our mail address and public GitHub repository with right now working UI extensibility code samples. You can use to start building your application. And let's keep in touch. Let's use Experience League, public GitHub, or send us mail if you're interested and wanna work with UI extensibility. And I can see that Ron joined us. So it seems we have some questions. I believe we also have some time for questions. So word to you, Ron.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys. That was fantastic. Yeah, it's great to see as Iryna, you mentioned, 8 minutes to get, an application built and, some UI extensibility created for whatever it is that you're looking to do. Yeah. So are there questions? That is the question. Um, one of the questions was tried to create custom fields in the old editor, but it doesn't work in the new editor. Any documentation around custom fields in the new content fragment editor? And I think you had answered that in the link to the documentation, because that should be listed in the documentation, right?
I'm
Yes,
right now here.
uh,
Yeah.
I also would like to add that this application, example application, will be published to the repository. We have repository with all of examples, and you can find all of this code publicity and reapply. Yes, we have open pull requests in this repository, and we will merge it.
All good, Iryna.
Mhm. So you
um,
can't
I'm
yet
just trying to
get
navigate.
it's just fine. Yeah, so I think Aditi had put the link in the chat, so we're all good there. In terms of the documentation, so that's fine. Um, let's see, any other questions? If there's anything out there, by all means, put them into the chat. One unit. I have a question of, is one unit one app? And actually, I will answer that, guys. So yeah, basically, one unit is not one app. You can make it's actually unlimited applications with your one unit. Where you Thank you so much, Iryna, for going back. Where you would potentially run out of capacity is around one of these metrics, right? So, say you had something that ran really frequently, and it was a really big action that did a bunch of stuff. You might burn through that 6 million gigabyte seconds, or custom events, right? So, if you have something you're doing a ton of events, something near real time, you may run out of events. So, you could hit any one of those kind of thresholds, and at the time, we're not going to cut you off. We're going to, I think, reach out and talk about, maybe upgrading to 2 units or something. You can always purchase more units, but the first unit for cloud service sites customers is included. Okay. Let's see. We also had one around content fragment. Is it exclusive for? Is the UI extensibility exclusive for customers of sites as a cloud service? And that was answered in chat as well. And the answer is yes. If you and Vladimir, who's working on the moderating, he had rightly said, if you've got needs that you want this enabled in other surfaces, by all means, reach out to us and start the conversation on if that's feasible or not, and certainly what your use case is. Again, thank you, Iryna, for the flipping it over there. Fantastic. Okay, I think that was it, unless there are no more questions. I don't see anything in the chat. Let's go over to stage. Um, yeah, there you go. So Vladimir shared the link to the GitHub example that we went through. So in the chat, so people don't have to retype it. Anyways, thank you guys for your expertise and your time today. That was a fantastic session. And hopefully, we've got folks out there that now both have the access, right, and can start building their own UX sensibility buttons or modal dialogues or what have you, something that makes their authoring environment work the way they want it to. Cool.
Yeah. Thank you, folks, for being with us. So hope to see you soon on the Adobe Summit.
All right. Thank you guys and have an awesome day.
Thank you.